In this video, you will learn how to find keywords in different languages for Amazon listing optimization and localization. This video is hosted by LISETT LEES, and her guest today is John Tiley from ZonGuru. John will show the importance of listing localization, especially in the new emerging marketplaces where there are a lot of non-optimized listings. ZonGuru is a software for Amazon sellers, and if you would like to try their tools, you'll find the link below in the description, as well as a 20% discount code to apply for their plans. And remember, whenever you like the content you hear, don't forget to hit the like button below this video, as well as subscribe to our channel.
Hi John, I'm excited to have you here today on Orange Klik channel to talk about a very important topic. But before we go into that, could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do in Amazon space?
Yeah, hey Lisette, good to be back. I love Orange Klik and I love being able to have the opportunity to do videos with you. Today should be quite a bit of fun. But anyway, if you don't know me, I'm John. I'm the CEO of ZonGuru. We're an all-in-one software toolset for private label Amazon sellers. So specifically, if you are creating your own private labels to sell on Amazon platforms across the world, we have a bunch of tools, and today we're going to focus on listing optimization. So I'm based here in Los Angeles, and we have a big team in Europe as well, and a small one in Australia as well. And my accent is South African, not Australian, just in case anybody's checking. But anyway, that's me. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right. So what's today's topic exactly?
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about, I've called it Forget Translations. How do you find local keywords for your listing optimization? So it's a bit of a fun play on saying forget translations, because we know that translations for kind of the localized Amazon marketplaces are really, really important. But I think the main point I want to get across today is how important it is to actually find keywords for the local marketplaces that people are actually typing into Amazon when they're looking for products. It's really critical to find those keywords rather than just translating the English keywords into the local market's native language. So how do you actually find those keywords? I'm going to show you how to find that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the optimization of your listing and some of the core fundamentals that I look at. And then we're going to show you some data points and how different some listings in the US are to some of these local marketplaces like Amazon France, Germany, Italy, all of these marketplaces that are growing. So it should be interesting to show you that data. I hope it's interesting. And I know that you're also really good at listing optimization. So if you have questions as we go, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I know you have a couple of slides for us as well to better have an overview of this topic. So let's first jump into that.
All right. So as I mentioned, the title for today's presentation and teaching is Forget Translations. How do you find local keywords for your listing optimization? So we're going to focus specifically on some of the local markets, the emerging marketplaces for Amazon. And the one that we actually look at as an example is Amazon Germany, which obviously is one of the bigger local markets in Europe as well. So the first point I want to make, and this is just important just to set the tone for the data that we look at, but from a ZonGuru perspective and from an Amazon seller perspective, ZonGuru is the first tool in the marketplace to have a fully integrated tool set for research and sellers for North America, Europe, and Australia. And why that's important is we now have the data in these localized marketplaces, especially Europe and Australia, where we can actually start to see, what are people typing into Amazon in those marketplaces? What are the important keywords for certain categories? What is the search volume? What are the sales on that? And then be able to compare that across marketplaces, so we can look at how does the US look and how does some of these other marketplaces look and what's the opportunity. So it's a super interesting space that we're in right now, and it's been further fueled by this move to e-commerce in the marketplaces from the pandemic of 2020. So it's just crazy to see the awesome opportunities that they are now in Europe, not just selling on UK, but obviously Germany and then some of the small ones like France, Italy. So that's cool, and we have the data to kind of look at that. Okay, so this slide here, actually, I wanted to show this as a high level view on the total visits to the different marketplaces, Amazon marketplaces across the world. And this is back in November of 2020. And you can see, obviously, Amazon.com has most of the visits. They have 3 billion visits in November of 2020, followed by Amazon Japan, Germany, UK, all the way down through, down the bottom there, Australia and the Netherlands. The important thing here is that these marketplaces, even though they're much smaller than Amazon.com, they are still viable marketplaces with a lot of traffic. I mean, look at Amazon Germany. They have over 500 million visits just in that month. So even down to Amazon Australia, I think they have 40 million visits just in that month, right? So the point is that there's a lot more traffic going to these emerging marketplaces, and some of the bigger opportunities are now on those marketplaces, where us as small businesses, private label sellers, can really compete. And it's just interesting to see that happen. So at a high level, I would say the word for the USA marketplace is seasoned. It's a very seasoned marketplace. It's been around. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of choice. There's a lot of variety. There's some really big sellers and some big brands. So while there's amazing opportunities on the US marketplace, there are a lot more optimized. There are a lot more well positioned, and it's a lot harder to compete against those marketplaces. Whereas the local emerging marketplaces, I would say the word there is viable. Previously maybe there wasn't as much opportunity to make a lot of money, but now with the pandemic and what's happened, you can make a lot of money on these marketplaces, and there's a lot of opportunity that we're seeing there. It's almost like going back to Amazon.com in 2014. There was so much more opportunity. You could get in and get to page one, and you could optimize your listing, and you could truly get a lot of that traffic. So in what we're seeing, there's a lot of opportunities for us as smaller sellers on some of these marketplaces, and specifically for private label sellers based in Europe, which there are a lot. Who watch Orange Klik as well. You guys are obviously seeing a lot of growth there, which is great. Okay, so I want to focus now on what I call localization optimization, which is like, how do you optimize your listing for the local market? So for example, if you have a product and you're selling it on Amazon France, or you're selling it on Amazon Spain, or in this case, Amazon Germany, what are the key steps that you need to do in order to make sure that your listing is fully optimized to be able to get the most traffic and beat your competitors, right? That is the critical piece. And what I'm going to cover right now is some key fundamentals, which are important from my perspective, no matter where your listing is. And then we'll talk a little bit about the keyword aspect. So, and the reason I bring this up is no matter what marketplace you're on, you have to do the fundamentals right. If you don't do the fundamentals right, you're missing out on opportunity to be successful with your business. And so these are the key things that I think of whenever I do a product listing. The first thing, and this is the one that is so simple, but so many people skip, right? And it's like, who is your target customer? You have a product. Do you truly understand who your target customer is? Who's your target audience? What is their emotions? What is their emotional state when they're buying your product? Is it, hey, I need that product right now. I'm using Amazon and I need it, today or tomorrow on Prime? Or is it, hey, I'm buying this as a gift for a friend, or whatever that emotional state is of that target customer, and what is their personality like? You've got to really understand that, because if you don't fundamentally understand that, you can't curate your listing to really connect with that person. So my tip there is to interview, just interview even friends, like go in there, speak to them. And what I love to do is something called understanding the buyer mechanics, the decision mechanics of actually going through the process of buying your product. And the best thing I can tell you to do there is find a friend, ask them to buy a product. So give them a buy keyword, say, hey, buy this, yoga mat, whatever, buy this yoga mat. And then as you look through and you make your decision of which one you're going to buy, talk through the questions that you're asking yourself and record that session. And I would just use Loom. Loom is a software. It's just a Chrome extension. It can record that whole session. It's very easy for them to record it. They just send you a link, and they can walk through that process. And you'll be so surprised by the kind of questions people ask themselves when they are actually buying a product. And it might come down to a decision around, a dimension on a specific part because it has to go on a wall that most of the listings haven't covered. And if you just cover that part, your conversion rate will just go up, right? So this is a really critical piece of the whole process, which is understanding your target audience from an emotional perspective, but most importantly, understanding the buyer decisions and the questions they ask themselves when they go through that process. And it will just literally take the recording of 2 to 3 different people, and you'll have so much insight into what are the most important things to put in your listing when you create it. And then the last piece, which is a common one, is what are the common review themes? So it's really important to look at the reviews for your product category and understand from a 1 and a 5-star perspective, what do people love and what do they hate about a product? And you can spend, it does take time, but you can go through reviews and you'll start to see some common themes that you need to address as either objections or benefits in your listing. Those are really important things to include in your listing. We have a tool called Love Hate, which basically does a word cloud around whatever product category you want, and it'll show you those common themes immediately. What do people love and hate about a product? But you can also do that manually by just going through all the listings and picking out those themes. But those are going to be the most important things to cover right off the bat, which is understanding your target audience, the emotional state, how do they buy your products, and what do they love and hate about the products in your category. So understand that fundamentally before you even move into your listing creation.
I have one question regarding the target customer part. I'm not sure if you will cover that in the upcoming slides, but I wanted to ask if the seller is selling in different marketplaces already or is planning to, then should they conduct this target customer analysis for each marketplace separately?
100%, yes. So actually, I don't cover that in the next slides, but yes, I mean, and this is the whole idea of what I'm saying here, which is localization optimization. Localization means understanding the culture, understanding for listing optimization, what are the kind of keywords that they would type in to find their product? What are some of the slang, local cultural words that they might be using as well? But to your point, at the target customer level, you have to interview people, for that who buy in that marketplace. We have a lot of Australian customers, and with the growth of Amazon Australia, they're just in such a great position because they are the target, right? They are the target, and how you look for a product and how you buy a product in the US is completely different from how you do it in Australia, and they share a common language. So you can imagine, when you start going into Europe, it's completely different, right? So yeah, exactly. I would agree with you there. Yeah. And then I don't know, in terms of, reaching those people, people are like, oh, well, I don't have any friends in Germany. I'm like, well, if you have a private label business, you're smart enough and you're creative enough that you'll be able to find people to interview. So figure it out, because you'll be able to do it. It's not a good enough excuse that you could say, oh, I don't know anyone there. Figure it out. You can figure it out for sure.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, and the thing that I always say is like, okay, so you understand your target audience, and that's really important as part of your conversion. But the second piece is focus on conversion. Amazon is all about conversion. They'll give you traffic when you launch a product, or if especially when you launch a product, they'll give you traffic because they want to make sure that they are giving new product opportunities to sell, right? Because they want to make sure that they've got the latest, greatest, best products in front of their customers. And what they look at is amount of traffic to amount that converts. So if you can keep your conversion rate up, they're going to keep sending you a lot of traffic and you're going to grow your business. So this is the most critical point, is focusing on conversion. Product differentiation is such an important piece of that. But the tip I want to give you is don't overcapitalize on your differentiation. This is the core essence of a private label seller who's successful on Amazon, is how do you differentiate your product without overcapitalizing, which means you don't increase your cost of goods so much so that you price your product out or you don't have enough margin to make it a successful, viable business, right? So, color is not a great one. Bundling could be good, but the more you understand and you do that research on your customer, your target customer, the more you might understand that there might be 1 or 2 small tweaks, either from the brand, the boxing, or even on the product itself, that would allow you to differentiate and get that conversion. So don't overcapitalize on that. Make sure your number 1 image stands out. That's obviously a given. But what I always like to do, I've invested so much time in creating my product, spend a little bit more time just mocking up an Amazon page where before you even launched it, or even once you've launched it, is put your product on there, maybe put it in position 4 or 5, put other products on there, put that in front of some of your friends and say, hey, if you were looking for this product, which one would you buy? And hopefully 80% of them will say, hey, I'll choose this one, and it'll be your product. If it's not, then you might need to think about optimizing your image, number one, to really stand out even more. And when you go through that process, ask them why they chose one over the other one. It's really interesting to get into the psyche of a person who's buying a product. You can obviously use PickFu. That's a great service as well. But you can do it manually, which is great. Image benefit overlay. So everyone buys by images first, right? So your image 2 all the way through to 7, or however many you can in your category, make sure you take the main benefits of that product and overlay it on the images, because that's what they use to buy it. You can get that from the review themes as well, and make sure you have the key targets on those images. And then of course you have to have A+ content, brand registry. If you're in the private label business on Amazon, get your trademark. It costs $800 now, or maybe less than that. It's a worthwhile investment, and you get A+ content, and you can build out a proper product and web page on Amazon. Plus, you obviously get a lot of benefits from having brand registry, and you, in fact, get, I'm pretty sure you get more traffic as well. So get that when you are building a listing. It helps with your conversion for sure. So a really important point. Okay, and then the final thing is, again, getting to the listing copy optimization. So this localization, how do you actually create your copy on the page, right, in the right language? And so the first thing I would say here is, don't just use a reverse lookup. So the first point here is, when you're doing your keyword optimization for your listing, you have to use software. You have to get the keywords to put in there. There's a bunch of software options out there. Obviously we have ZonGuru, but there's other ones you can use. But the point I'm saying here is, don't just use a reverse lookup tool. So there's a lot of tools out there that just do a reverse lookup on an ASIN, right? So they go and find 1 or 2 or 3 ASINs, and they'll pull in all the keywords across those different product listings, and give you a bunch of keywords that you can put into your listing. Now, why I say, especially for these local markets, don't use just a reverse lookup tool, is that you could index. They could be indexing or giving you the incorrect keywords, because a lot of those listings you'll see just translate. They take the English version and they translate it, and you're missing out on so many of those important keywords, which are those longer phrase, localized keywords that are critical for that marketplace. You're just simply not going to get that. So you need to find a tool that will give you, keywords for the local marketplaces. What are people actually typing into Amazon? What are they, and how do you get those keywords where they're putting it into Amazon for those local markets? And that's very different, no matter if you're on USA, Australia, or obviously Germany. It's going to be different across those marketplaces. Brand analytics is a great tool. And if you have brand registry, you can access brand analytics. That gives you data, across different categories, but it will give you some sense of like, what are some of the important keywords within a marketplace. And there's a lot of analysis that can go into that, but we do that within our tool, and we offer that to you. So I'm going to show you that in a bit. Listing order, again, title is the most important thing, followed by your bullets, description, backend. That's how the algorithm works. If you convert, a simple way to explain it is, if you convert for a keyword in your title that is exact matched, you'll get more juice from the algorithm saying, hey, this is, it converted off of this keyword, so great, you will do better in your rankings, and you'll rise better, versus that same keyword in your backend, right? It's good to have it anyway, but it's priority, title, bullets, description, backend. Don't overstuff the listings. We've seen it time and time again. People put in all these keywords. It's kind of what they did in 2016 or 2014. But now just make sure you have a short title that's professional. But if you broad match in your keywords and how it is there, you can do a great job with a really simple, clear title, and then follow that with your bullets and your descriptions and your backend keywords. And then make sure you use long tail keyword phrases. So, a long tail keyword phrase is the most relevant descriptive keyword that someone would type in when they're converting for your product. So if they're looking for, if you have a specific type of water bottle, if someone types in water bottle, there's so many choices. But if they type in, stainless steel water bottle for camping, for men, that's a really specific long tail keyword that if you have a product that matches that, you're going to convert at a much higher rate. So make sure you have some of those longer tail keyword phrases in your listing. And most importantly, when you put them in, it has to make sense in that whole sentence that you put in there. So that's where the translation aspect is really important. And that's the final point I have here, which is get the listing translated. So we spend so much money and time building these products to put on Amazon. And if you skimp, and whatever the word skimp I'm saying is be, don't spend money on your images, your translations, all these things that are so important at the final step. You're absolutely, if you just lose a 0.1% in your conversion rate because you haven't done a good job here, that's massive impact on your business, right? So we see this, if you have two products and one has been translated poorly and the other one is translated beautifully and it's got like local slang words and it's done in a fun, creative way, where they absolutely know that audience and that local thing, someone's going to choose that product over the other one, 100%. So make sure you do this properly. You can find translators on Upwork. There's definitely agencies out there. I'm sure Orange Klik have got a few that they can recommend as well. Margin Business is one that I work with, Omar, and I'm gonna bring him on just at the end, just because he looked at a listing for me. But you can use anyone you want on that front, but get it translated. And then use your backend search terms for incorrect spellings and for English. And I'll put English there. In the US, we use the backend search terms for Spanish words because there's a big Spanish group here in the US, and they look for things in Spanish. So we always include that in the backend search terms. But again, if you're in some of these marketplaces, especially like Germany, they do search for things in English. There's English speakers there, and German people are fluent in English as well. So, put those in your backend keywords. Or if you have to put in your descriptions, put them down in your descriptions as well. It's fine. You can put a bullet point in there and include the English as well.
I actually have one question regarding the description, especially for brand owners who have A+ content. As you know, you can still fill out the description box, even if it's not visible to customers anymore. So what do you recommend to insert there? Can sellers just add a list of keywords, or it's still rather good to have a normal readable description there?
I would, again, you never know exactly how Amazon looks at that content versus description content. It's the same as in your backend search terms. You have all these fields, but some you fill out. Do you fill out all of them? I would treat the description as I would normally treat it if I don't have A+ content. I would fill it out. I'd make sure it's readable, and I would include the right keywords in there that I haven't used in other parts of my listing. Again, you don't even have to, so that's how I would treat this. I wouldn't just put in, a bunch of keywords where it doesn't make sense, because you never know how it's being read. And importantly, does Amazon make a shift or a change at some point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm totally agreeing with you. And the other thing is sometimes there could be some issues with A+ content where it's not active anymore. And then the whole list of keywords or whatever sellers have put there would become visible to their buyers. So it would look like a mess.
Exactly. Yeah, great. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to not demo, but I'm going to show you an example. I've taken an example of a product in the US market, and then I've taken that same product with the same brands in the German market. I've pulled it up on Amazon, and then I'm going to show you our listing optimization tool and kind of the opportunity that you're seeing that they're not taking advantage of by not localizing their listing. So it's pretty crazy to see, but this is a product here on Amazon, right? So this is a typical good private label product to sell on Amazon. This is called a hanging macrame chair. Macrame, if you don't know what it is, it's this kind of rope style effect, on these chairs. So it's a much more specific type of product for a specific audience. And of course, there's definitely ways that you can differentiate it. You can see some people are obviously adding all of the pieces that you need to put it up, which is important. There's different styles, different ways of shaping the chair. A bunch, he has a completely different one of the similar kind. So there's ways you can do it. He has Amazon's choice and different products. And if I just bring up ZonGuru, we have a Chrome extension. This is just really evaluating the category And you can see here, we have a niche score. If you don't know it, that's for a different conversation, but we actually validate the niche. You can see it's got a decent niche score. On average, they're making 35,000, and some products over here are making, if I look at it, they're making 74,000, 71, 249. This Y-Stop product is one that we look at across marketplaces. So, this is definitely a viable 6- and 7-figure category on Amazon.com. And frankly, it's kind of like one of the opportunities where you can still get in, and it's quite a good opportunity to get in. So I've looked at a few products here. I think it's, I picked out a few here that are selling on both marketplaces. This CCTRO is a product that's selling in both marketplaces. I think Y-Stop is one. And there was another one called Chihi. It's a strange name, but it's down here somewhere. If I can find it. Let's see. This one, Chihi Hammock Chair, right? So they're selling in both marketplaces. They've obviously gone and sold in Amazon USA, and then they've expanded and started selling on Amazon Germany as well. So I'm going to jump over and show you what that looks like. So let's go over and look at Amazon Germany. So this is Amazon Germany. I'll just reduce this for now. You can already see, like, the visual views of the product. You can see that they don't have as much choice, and they're starting to bring other types in there. Definitely not as visually appealing, but this Chihi product is over here. A few different products here, some not really well optimized ones. But there's definitely choice. And we know Germany is a viable marketplace, and you can see on the revenue here, average is 14,000 euros. There's one doing 14. This one up here, which I have here, Vita 5, which is still on both marketplaces, they're doing like around 83,000. So it's a viable marketplace, and you can make a 6-figure business just with this one product, which is great. So now that I've shown you kind of like the products in both these marketplaces, and by the way, the keyword that I've used here is macrame, and Lisette, you're gonna say it's better than me, but hangersessel. Like
I guess you're doing. I think you're doing good.
Okay, fine. But they're selling on both marketplaces here. So one of the tools that we have is a listing optimization tool, right? And so you can generate the keywords using our tool, Keywords on Fire, which is get you those local keywords, and then you put it into a listing optimization where you can look at an optimization score for that listing across your 8 top competitors. So you can look at a number of products next to each other and see how well they're optimized. And that's just a great way. When you're doing your listing optimization, you can look at how on page 1, how are the top competitors optimized versus your listing, and you can compare and you can see whether they're doing well or not doing well. So I'm just going to show you our tool. But the most important thing here is just to show you the differences between optimizations in the US market versus some of the emerging markets like Germany for the same product, right? So this is our listing optimization tool. I've gone ahead and run a keyword session already and pulled in the most relevant keywords for the marketplace. So these are all of them here, macrame chair, these are all for the USA. And importantly, the way that this keyword tool works is it does a reverse lookup on the top 25 competitors for that keyword that you put in, but it also then dedupes that with actual data of Amazon customers typing into Amazon. So we've got brand analytics and a whole bunch of other data that goes in there. So it's giving you not only like what are most listings have in them, but also what are customers actually typing into Amazon, dedupes that, and then it has a relevancy filter that goes over that to give you the most relevant, powerful keywords for your listing. So you get the keywords, you get the search volume, you get a relevancy score, and then it tells you where it's included in your listing, whether it's broad match in the title, included some in your listing, or maybe it's exact match in the title, which is up here, right? You can see it's exact match there. Anyway, this is all the keywords. So we're theoretically, we're saying these are the best keywords, and then how well are each of these listings optimized for that keyword, and we give them an optimization score. So you can see this one here, CCTRO, is the best optimized. It's in the top 6% in its category. It's well optimized. And you can see over here, everything is in the listing or in the title. It's a really well optimized listing. And you can see all the listing bullets. We even have actually the backend search terms. So this is what he's actually putting in his backend search terms. You can see what he's putting there. So this is the best in the category, right? And then we have Y-Stop. They've got a score of 17,000. They're like 3/4 of the way. Chi-He is 23,000 in the top 14%, and Vita5 over here is in the top 17%. So these are all the listings, and you can see, everything they've done here, including obviously the backend search terms. So this is the USA, and remember what I said. It's a seasoned marketplace. Listings are well optimized, and they're doing some great sales. These same products I've looked at in Amazon Germany right now, and I'm going to explain that in a second. But these are all now. I've run a separate keyword session specifically for the German marketplace, and you can see the keywords. That there's an English keyword, great, but then you can see all of the other keywords that are actually typed into Amazon in German, and here's all the ones, different spellings. I haven't gone through these and actually filtered out if, for example, rattan is not correct for this one. I haven't filtered out any specifics. I've just kind of loaded them in, but you can see all the different keywords specific to that marketplace, search volume, keywords score, and then where it's included in the listing. And these are the same ones. Remember that Chi-He one was like a well-optimized one. This has got a score of 2,700, and it's in the bottom 11%. They've done a terrible job, and they've just literally done a Google Translate, put that in, but they haven't included all of the keywords that they actually need to include in their listing based on what people are typing into Amazon. So they've done a bad job in that they've just translated. They haven't added the localized keywords, and they haven't developed out that as a proper translation. So it's not going to do nearly as well. Vita5 has done a little bit better. They're over 0.5%, but you can see they've got some exact match, and a few, including your listing, that can definitely optimize further. And then I think the best one here is Amanka, this one over here. They've done a little bit of a better job, and you can see what they've added in. So this is just to explain, like, they've got a lot of opportunity that's being left on the table because they haven't focused on how do they find the localized keywords and then put them into the listing, and then obviously written their listing in the right way. And just so you know how this tool works, you can see the ones that are actually highlighted in bold. Those are ones that are deduped, not added in your listing. So you can go ahead and just start to add the words like, I can just add macrame here. And as I add those keywords, it's going to recalculate and start to improve the optimization score. And you can see now that word that I added, I think it was here, is now in the title, right? So if I add Hangasessel here as well, then I'm going to have an exact match. I don't even know how to spell that. Hangasessel, is that right?
Hangasessel, it should be. But actually, I have one question as we were talking about, we're concentrating on German marketplace right now. As you can see, there are those, I guess it's correct to say in English, umlaut letters with the two dots over the A or O. So do you know how Amazon reacts to those words? Because it's important to know when optimizing the listing, but also for PPC. So for example, if you add the same keyword with the umlaut, or you use it just like as a regular A.
Yeah, it's a good question, and actually I'm going to show you that video that Omar, he just put a comment on there, and he talks exactly about that, and okay. His view on that, and I'm not a specialist in obviously the local markets, but what I would do is include, because you can see search volume right here, right? So this one with the umlaut, right, is like over here, it's got a search volume of 505, right? Versus maybe a misspelling or a different way of doing that might, so the idea here is like, what is the common way that you should be doing it? And for the local market, put that in your listing. And if there's other ways of doing it, I would make sure I have that in my backend keywords or in my description. So, for the local marketplace, they want to see it properly done, right? Which is with the umlaut right there. So I would include that in the main part of my listing, and then include the other ones in the backend. That's how I would approach it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How would you approach it?
Yeah, I would do the same, because I would first think about how the people are really writing and using the word, because, sometimes in your own language, you might have a word that actually grammatically is written in one way, but you're used to talk in another way. So probably when you go on Amazon, you use the slang word instead of the really correct one. So yeah, I would first go down how people actually use it, write it, say it, and then of course, look at the search volume data as well.
Yeah, totally agree. I agree with that for sure. But and what's good here is that you can see all the different keywords. You can see how those other listings are using it, and then what is the actual search volume specifically for that marketplace, and then you can make some of those decisions. So how do you actually include that in your listing? So yeah, that's it. And then if you click on these as well, it will just add them directly to your backend search term. So you can, if I just went here for right now and just said, if I selected all, right at the end, what you can do is select all and then just go here and go add to the backend search terms. And you can see it's already gone ahead and recalculated. And I'm the best optimized listing out of everyone here, right? Obviously, you want to go through and do your title, your bullets, and then finally your backend keywords. But it's really easy to make sure that I get all the keywords into my listing, and I'm the best optimized listing on page 1 for these products. What I want to do is take a minute just to show you. I had a conversation with Omar from Margin Business, and they're an agency that specializes in listing optimization for for various brands in different marketplaces. But he also speaks German and has German. So I just wanted to say, hey, I'm not an expert in German. So when you're looking at these keywords, how does that look in comparison? And we had a long conversation, but I just want to play a short clip just to show you from his perspective, what is he seeing in the tool? And I'll just play it from here. You can see Omar up in the right there.
All of them are missing keywords out. So they might have this keyword here, which is the main keyword for this type of article. They might have it in here somewhere, but it's not enough. There is misspelling, like here, for example, which is missing. It's the misspelling which should be in there. Then we have some big ones, which would be great if they come together. This one here is one of my, what came in my eyes. It's the hanging chair without the metallic surrounding, that holding it. It's really like without. Then we have the one here is indoor, hangers as an indoor. Rattan obviously is not, normally the macrame ones are made of rattan, but there is really, I can see this is amazing because they're all highlighted here. I can see plenty which can be built in there and which makes as well sense, because obviously for a localized translation, they need to make sense. Here we have the word corb, which is like a little bucket, which is, they call it corb when it's like, when it's a hanging chair like this, you can as well give it this name. For the garden, for example, hangers as a garden, it's almost like English. So, I mean, they have the main keyword in there, but the long tail is missing, which is really which is a shame, because then they would really come up everywhere. Yeah, this is the first one, and the second one, you can see yourself there. There is nothing anymore going on. There's plenty missing. We could just change the listing completely. There is maybe something here in the title. Yeah, but this is really not enough. Everyone can put this in.
So
in general, a lot of improvement which can be done here.
Gotcha. Yeah. So in your opinion, I mean, just looking at the list of keywords that are pulled together, and you understanding German and obviously an optimization expert, do you think that you're seeing a quality from the keyword list on the left that matches the local market, and they've just clearly not done a good job on actually optimizing their listing, right?
Yes, 100%. You can build them in. Obviously, you need a native person in order to build them in, because if not, grammatically, it makes no sense when you put in long tail keywords into a sentence. Then it would look strange, I mean, then you need to change the whole sentence. There is changes to be made, but yes, it definitely makes sense. There is as well the A with the double dot on top, which is a in German, which is now AE as well. These are all relevant keywords which can be put into the listing. Yes, definitely.
Great. So, I think what he was explaining there, and maybe Lizette, you have a better comment on that, but I think he's saying that the AE is a misspelling, right? Because is that right? The AE is a misspelling, but it has significant search volume. So make sure that you have that in your listing in the backend keywords as well.
Exactly, because I think we see it a lot actually in the US marketplace as well, with the products which have a little bit more complicated name, because, you know, people are just typing in super fast. They don't think about like grammar. And then you can have like super incorrect words that have like enormous search volume because people are always like typing in incorrectly.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So that's it. Again, importantly, if we just go back to these key slides here, I think, when you are doing your listing optimization, make sure you understand your target customer with some of those things, especially the buyer process, get that recorded, understand the questions they ask when they buy that product, what is the emotional state, focus on conversion, some critical things that you need to do there. And then finally, optimize your listing for keywords, but make sure you get the right keywords that are local for that marketplace as your base platform, and then make sure you get it translated by someone who speaks the local native language to make sure those colloquial, slang and the listing is written for that specific market. Those are critical, and some of it costs a little bit of money, but when you actually look at the final product and what happens with your conversion rates, that money is made up within the first few sales and then some. So it's a really critical part. And if you don't take those final steps, you're doing your business an injustice. So definitely do that. And again, for anybody who's staying in Europe, congratulations, because those markets are growing now incredibly, and sales are rapidly increasing. Obviously, there's problems with Brexit and all those kind of things that have to be figured out, but that's another story. But it's definitely a great marketplace in Australia as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. It was really interesting to listen, and definitely exciting times ahead in Europe, because we have very new marketplaces as well, as we have Sweden taking off also slowly. And one thing I wanted to mention myself regarding like because we were talking about German marketplace, is that why sellers really can't do just like, let's say, automated translation or use some kind of machines for translating. Because, for example, in Germany, the word of order in the sentences is also different from the English language. So there are a lot of like those small things you wouldn't know if you're like an English speaker, for example, that are also important to keep in mind. So I wanted to ask one question regarding the US and UK marketplace, because a lot of sellers who have been like starting out in US think that when they expand to UK, they can simply take the same listing, the same keywords, and the same copy, because the language is the same. So what do you think about that?
I think they're incorrect in the same way as someone who's selling in Amazon. Look, I think for those marketplaces, maybe you're going to get 70 or 80%, in cross comparison, but that actual 30% difference, right, is what will make the difference of how you beat your competitors, because they haven't optimized for that. And you can see that when we look at the data and I say, hey, run a keyword on Fire Session for the US and run it for UK, and then compare it, you see immediately the opportunities in these localized keywords that are different for both marketplaces. And then when you look at the actual listings, those listings aren't optimized for the localized keywords. So they're missing out on that opportunity. And what that means is, for you as a seller, you have a massive competitive advantage over them, and you're getting that traffic. So, at the end of the day, it's all in the data. If you have the data and you have access to that and your competitors don't, you're going to do better than them. So, you have to localize it, and it literally is no difference. You just run it in the software and you get the data, which is great. And again, just going back to that German listing, not only talking about the translation, but like how you write a listing for the US, and like there's a lot more salesmanship, and there's that kind of, it's a little bit more over the top. There might be some fun in there and all this kind of stuff. That just does not land in German. Like if you if a German person reads that, they're going to be like, this is the dumbest thing I've seen in my life. Like you just need to tell me straight exactly what it does and how it works. I think, that's what I've heard. So, you have to take that into account when you write the listing, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because there is that cultural difference for sure. And the way people are used to shopping and shopping online, especially as well. Okay, cool. So some of the sellers are really...
Just a funny comment on that, unrelated, but I had a friend who went to Berlin, and she's from the US, and she was there with her friends, and she'd gone to the hotel room, and they all got dressed up for going to the club that night. And she went down to was about to walk out of the hotel, and go to the club, and the person at the front desk stopped them and was like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Well, we're going out." They're like, "You need to go back to your room, change all your clothes, put on like, just your jeans and your cool, like normal, regular clothes, and then go to the club because you're going to look like an idiot." That's just the difference, right? You've got to like dress right for the country. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really, it's a good example to illustrate a point where you can think the situation is really similar and there are not like different elements, but actually it's quite different. So some of the sellers are not into like expanding to new emerging marketplaces, because when they compare, let's say if they have been selling on US and they see all the big potential and big sales numbers, they are a little bit discouraged by seeing the volume of sales in those newer marketplaces. So what do you think, based on your experience, would you say that the situation we are now seeing in European marketplaces, is it similar to what we saw before, like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago in US, when the competition was lower, the demand was a bit smaller as well, and then it's just you have to be there first, you have to be patient, and then after some times when the marketplace pick up, then you're already there and you're like this first one?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both, right? I think that one of the things I'm most excited about right now is Amazon Australia. And it's similar for some of those marketplaces within Europe, like Amazon France, Italy. We're seeing a lot more search volume and sales, because by necessity, brands and products have to start to go on, and people have to start going online to shop, right? But Amazon Australia is the fastest growing Amazon marketplace in the world right now. And the thing to understand there is Amazon is incredibly good at putting in the infrastructure within a country, and incentivizing that through Amazon Prime to get customers onto their platform. And they've done that in every marketplace they've been in. And if you just look historically at what's happened in Amazon.com or any of those countries, you know that Amazon Australia is just going to massively grow over the next few years. So it is more of that conversation around, can you make money on Amazon Australia right now? Yes, you can. It's viable and it's there. And if you pick right, you can make money. But most importantly, can I stake my claim on some of these areas now that over the next few years is absolutely going to grow into a monster? And we just see, it's like, I always do this. It's like, you look at Amazon.com, like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, like, ergonomic gaming chairs was a great niche to get into. If you look at that now, you probably need $150,000 just to try and compete on that marketplace. And the sales numbers there are like $1 million a month. It's a massive, massive category with a lot of competition. But 4 years ago, you could have got in and you would be in that position today. So there's a little bit of like that in some of these emerging marketplaces. Get in, and importantly, you can pick what I call macro versus micro niche. It's a macro niche on some of these emerging marketplaces like Amazon Australia. You can get in on some of these bigger categories, like anything in the camping area or the sports equipment area. All those are bigger niches and you can get in. Whereas on Amazon USA, it's a much more micro niche. So it's a niche within a niche. You have to find a very specific target audience with a very specific product. And you can still satisfy that, and it's $1 million business, but it's, you need data and you have to pick really well, because if you pick too big of a competitive category, it's going to be really difficult to fight and get all the way up to page one. So unless you are obviously very differentiated. So it's not to say the USA is not a marketplace to go on. It's an amazing marketplace. It's going to grow, but you have to be much more specific in terms of what product you create and what your audience looks like.
Okay, very good thoughts. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was really interesting to listen to you and have a little discussion as well. So if anybody has any questions for you or about ZonGuru, then what's the best way to reach out to you? And also, once more, could you explain how ZonGuru helps Amazon sellers?
Yeah, sure. If you want to get a hold of us, just go to our website, zonguru.com, and we have a little support chat button there. Just hit that and chat away. We have an amazing support team, and a lot of them are sellers themselves. So they truly understand your pain and your challenges, and they want to help solve them. So if you have any questions, whether it's around the software or anything, just go on there and ask the questions, and they can help you. Our social channels, especially Instagram, is great to follow. It's just at ZonGuru. It's basically a feed of product ideas and ways of differentiating and ideas and inspiration. So if you're in the space, it's worth following because you'll get some ideas that will stimulate some thoughts. So definitely do that. Again, you know, from a ZonGuru perspective, we have over 16, I think it's even 17 tools now that will help you throughout your Amazon journey. So if you're in the product research phase, it will help you to find and validate products and categories. Or if you're in the launch phase, we have obviously the keywords tools, the listing optimization, ways of helping you to be optimized for your launch. And then we have business management tools from review automation to business metrics dashboards, and everything in between, alerts, etc., to really help you manage and scale that business. So we have a full tool set, and it's built by you know, sellers, our CTO, our lead developers. They all sell on Amazon as well. So they fundamentally are looking at ways to solve your problem through software, and they truly understand the problems that Amazon sellers have. Yeah, we're fully integrated for USA, all of the European countries, and Australia. And actually, in a couple of weeks, we're launching Amazon India, so we'll be fully integrated there as well. Yeah, if you want to try it out, I think there's a link that we have for Orange Klik. It's zonguru.com/Orange Klik. And I think there's an awesome discount there that is ongoing. It's probably the best deal you can get. You guys have that. And it's a 7-day free trial, so jump in, check it out. And there's also on our page, there's a way you can check out a demo. You can schedule a live demo, and just, you know, anything you need, check out our blog. We have so much great information that will help you with your Amazon business. Definitely just go around the website. You'll find some awesome stuff there to help you with your Amazon business.
Okay, sounds very good. All right, thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon again.
Yes, I'll come back anytime. I love what you guys do. I love that you're supporting Amazon sellers. And yeah, it's going to be a crazy year ahead as everything starts to you know, open up again, which is great. And so hopefully we can get over to Europe at some time. But just wishing best of luck to anybody watching today, and go crush it with your Amazon business and your goals.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to try ZonGuru, you'll find the link below in the description, as well as a discount code which you can apply for their plans in case you would like to subscribe to them. And now I would like to invite you to watch full demo of ZonGuru, where John is explaining how their tool works and what you can do with it.